News, events, sports. Same time, same place, right in the heart of Isla Vista. UCSB TV is serving UC Santa Barbara and the surrounding community with real journalism.
Hello and welcome back to UCSB TV, the university's only broadcast news station bringing you all of the sports, news, and events you need to know in and around Isla Vista. I'm your on-air producer, Rebecca Fairweather. Here are the top stories for this week. The Multicultural Center has been temporarily suspended by the university after pro-Palestinian student activists posted signs on Monday expressing solidarity with Palestine and dissent against Associated Students President Tessa Vessler, along with Assistant Vice Chancellor and Dean of Students Katia Armistead. The signs gained polarizing reactions from students and administrators, prompting two responses from UCSB Chancellor Henry T. Yang. We will have more coverage on the incident next week. In other news, on February 6th, residents of 6747 Del Playa woke up on a sunny Tuesday morning to a shocking revelation that their oceanside balcony had been partially ripped off due to cliff erosion. According to a post on X by Scott Safechuck, the public information officer of the Santa Barbara Fire Department, 45 people were evacuated from the premises and 4 apartment units were displaced. Residents were able to return to their homes shortly after inspection. An exclusion dents was added to restrict access to the back patio, and the house had been red tagged for future erosion. Residents of 6747 and freshman at UCSB Mateo Spencer says that this is his second house that had been destroyed to cliff erosion. County Supervisor Laura Capps led a community gathering to discuss Isla Vista cliff safety and how to determine if your balcony is in danger. The gathering was held shortly after an evacuation order was set in place. Jenna McGovern has the story.
Last week, County Supervisor Laura Capps led a community gathering to discuss bluff safety and provide a progress report on her 8-point plan, which was passed in November 2023 following the death of SBCC student Benny Schumer. Schumer is the 13th person to fatally fall from Isla Vista cliffs in 20 years, and there's been countless non-fatal falls. Capps' plan seeks to implement higher fences across Del Playa Drive, which has so far amounted to $45,000 for the new fence at Sea Lookout Park. The plan also seeks to add more signage and lighting, as well as increase the number of public restrooms available throughout Isla Vista to prevent people from nearing the edge of the bluffs, especially when it's dark. The Bluff Safety Plan was formulated from student, family, and resident input and ideas, which Capps converted to 8 realistic steps. Jeff Lindgreen, the Deputy Director for Santa Barbara Parks, also joined Capps to present the solutions to block the cliff edges, including planting native foliage and retrofitting the fences.
I played lacrosse at UCSB, and after games we would invite the visiting team. We'd come out here and we'd hang out and kind of, get to know each other. And there was much more park here. Capps Park had a lot more land there, and it is just, slowly eroding and disappearing. So, yeah, it is sad, but, the mountain always wins.
Santa Barbara County has also introduced an incentive for property owners to raise their fences by waiving the construction fees. According to Capps, some landlords have taken the offer, but not many, and the most the county can do is continue to incentivize and require tall fences in new builds.
So they're all important. I think that's a key point, is that not just one will take care of the problem. Like if you just put lights, you still need to raise the fence heights, you still need to do the education, you still need to do all of these things. And some things are outside of our control. I mean, coastal erosion is really hard to combat, and our climate is changing. That's also really hard to combat, but we're doing what we can.
Waking up to that part of your deck in the ocean is a scary thought. The Isla Vista Community Service District recommends that those with an oceanside balcony take precaution and report any damages to the unit's landlord. Thanks, Jenna. A day before county supervisors' meeting, the Santa Barbara Fire Department rescued a woman who went over the edge of a fence on February 24th in attempts to leave a party. Firefighters responded to reports of a cliff fall late Saturday night, arriving at 6761 Del Playa Drive. According to UCSB sources, the individual attended a party hosted by residents of 6761 that became too crowded. In attempts to exit, she decided to jump over the fence to leave. Santa Barbara firefighters estimate the woman got stuck approximately 10 to 15 feet below the residence, catching onto a ledge, saving her life. In an attempt to rescue the victim, 3 men tried to catch the woman from the shore but were trapped in their efforts due to high tide. Firefighters successfully rescued the woman with no injuries by dropping in over the balcony, bringing her up to the pavement. The other 3 were rescued safely as well. They are all very lucky, and we wish them well. In Isla Vista news, partygoers can expect a change rolling through the streets of Del Playa. A new ordinance went into effect on February 10th, banning all pay-to-enter parties in IV. According to Section 670-02A, the IVFP ordinance, outdoor festivals, and any other live musical performance of sound, regardless of size, that require a ticket purchase, donation, or fee are prohibited at all times in Isla Vista residential properties. A violation of this new ordinance could result in arrest or citation. The new ordinance also prohibits outdoor festivals and any other live musical performances with more than 250 attendees at any and all residential properties. This is big news for Gauchos, especially as Santa Barbara is winding up for Isla Vista's infamous Deltopia. All those who attended a party in IV and are asked to purchase a ticket or pay a fee are recommended to contact Isla Vista Foot Patrol. In other news, the Associated Students Human Rights Board hosted Human Rights Week all throughout Week 8 from February 26 to March 1st. The week was filled with fun events, collaborations, and conversations throughout various spots on campus. This year's themes follows Human Rights in Action. Reporter Zuri Wilson sat down with co-chair Isabella Mendoza and other board members to discuss the week of action.
Hi everyone, I'm news reporter Zuri Wilson here in front of the Partle Center for the last day of the annual Human Rights Week at UCSB. Throughout the week, the Human Rights Board has been hosting events and presentations spotlighting different human rights issues such as menstrual and racial equity. They are closing out the week with an art as meditation event at the Partle Center. We are going to go and check out the festivities and see what they have to say. So Human Rights Week is coming to an end. You guys have had a really busy week of festivities and events. And so now that the last event is over, how do you guys feel? How did it go? And what are some of your takeaways?
I think overall the week went really well. There were a lot of very fun and also educational aspects of Human Rights Week. Obviously, Human Rights Week takes a long time to plan. And it did take us the whole quarter to kind of brainstorm what kind of events we wanted, what our theme was, and the different aspects that we wanted to highlight. So overall, a very gratifying experience and a very inspirational experience because I think it really allows people to be involved but also represent the underrepresented orgs.
For Stacy, I was talking to this about her, but I remember in fall quarter, so it was a full quarter beforehand, that we were just brainstorming the ideas, and they were just words that we were saying, and then being able to see Stacy as each meeting came by, she's oh, I got these panelists, and oh, now I got this confirmed and all that, and it was really nice to see how Stacy could not only bring her ideas to life, but also be able to have a good mix of making it fun but also still educational, and not just a PowerPoint slide and having someone read it and then having that as our event for the day.
What goes into planning such an involved and intricate event week like this? Can you talk about that planning process? Because it sounds very a lot went into it.
So I think the main thing I wanted to capture in this year's Human Rights Week, the theme is Human Rights in Action. So a big part of it is how we can transform our words into action and how we can be agents of real change. And I think something I really wanted to emphasize is a sense of solidarity and community. Human Rights Board, a lot of it is about cooperating with other organizations on campus, but not only that, but we serve as a voice to allow marginalized communities and underrepresented communities to speak about what their organization does and what the work they do and how it benefits the student campus community as a whole. And I really want to emphasize the importance of activism and being involved in student advocacy, because as students we have the privilege of being in higher education, but also we should be taking advantage of that and understanding that we serve as a role that if we want change to happen or if we want to change the institution, it does start within our generation.
I think that's something that we talked about when we met earlier this week, but all the work that was put into it and kind of like the themes for each week and all the collaboration that occurred, it reminded me and like brought me back to the core of what HRB is. And I think it's oftentimes really easy to get caught up in what I like to say like the new and shiny things are of all the new programs and projects, all the new opportunities. But if we lose sight of like the core of what we do and the core of who we are and how we work, what is put on top of it, it was good to have like to connect what we're doing today to like who we are at the very core of what HRB is. And so all the events and all the work that was put on to this week really brought us back to our history, the establishment of HRB, which was first like a coalition of a bunch of orgs on campus. And I like didn't really know that until this year, until recently. And so having a coalition and having just all the collaboration and all the interaction with everyone on campus and all the different orgs and being able to sit back and listen from them, I think is also really important because they have their own missions, and so it's good to be able to like support them and uplift them and give them a platform to really express that. Because we're really privileged to not only be a part of AS and have like that funding and those resources, but we have like our platform on campus too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like you guys carry such a big role on campus because, I mean, like Human Rights Board, like you're kind of speaking to and catering to the rights and comfort of so many different groups. So how do you guys kind of navigate that, like kind of that role or that pressure?
This actually reminds me of when we were writing our statement in October in solidarity with Palestine. Yeah. There's always a human rights violation occurring like next door or around the globe, and so it's really hard to be able to capture all of those. I think that's why it's so important that there are so many groups on campus, because although that we have such like a big umbrella, we can help support the groups who are like more experts in their area or more like directly involved with the communities that are affected, because there's only so much our small little board can do. I think
we're also kind of like limited in knowledge and like trying to make sure that what we're saying is like valid and like representative of the issues at hand. So I think like tying into that Palestine thing, we got it approved by like SJP, and I think that was really important instead of just putting out our statement, since as much as like we can know so much, but I feel like they're the ones who are like very honed in, they know like all the little details and like what's right. I feel like I remember them saying like you shouldn't use this one word, you should use another word, and I never knew about that. And like I just thought that word and this other word were like synonymous. I forget what the word was, but they were like
it was a word, and then we used ethnic cleansing.
And they like corrected us, and I was like, wow, I would have never known that had I not gone and like reached out to SJP for that.
Yeah, so having all the different voices and communities and students and who then within themselves and aside from school have their own histories and their own backgrounds, we're able to learn from others and then hopefully apply like their movement expertise and like their organizing skills to our own board, and then uplift them in that process and like integrate them into what we do without speaking for others. When I amplify.
Yeah, like kind of giving them a platform to use their voice rather than using a voice or speaking for them. You guys have mentioned that collaborating is a big part of Human Rights Week and of hosting these events. So can you walk me through the process of collaborating with these other organizations? Are there any challenges in bringing all these different groups of people together? Like, what is that like of, collaborating with all these different people and organizations?
I think in terms of general outreach, I think the mentality I was going through in the beginning when I was doing outreach was that we all have a common goal, and it's to make sure that all student voices are able to be heard, but also that we are reflecting a different number of issues and not leaving any out. I think what makes outreach sometimes scary is because there's obviously a lot and you don't want to leave any out. And I think there's beauty in working together, and it's been an honor to work with other BCUs and other student organizations on campus, because everyone comes from such different backgrounds and has such different outlooks and experiences in life, but somehow we're able to kind of all connect to one cause and to make such a phenomenal event based on a cause that we all super care about. I think there's beauty in that because at the end of the day, I think real change comes with when people come together from different backgrounds, are able to embrace that, but also figure out any challenges that may be conflicting. But I think, honestly, it's been a blessing and an honor to work with all of these organizations. And I think at the end of the day, what made it so successful is that we were all on the same page. We constantly were able to meet up with each other to outline all of the scheduling and how the event would run. And I think being in constant communication, but also constantly uplifting each other, being like, how can I be of support of you? Is there anything I can help you with? I know you have this event coming up. How can we be of support? I think that mutual respect and support goes a really long way.
Thanks, Zuri. In more good news, Isla Vista residents can expect a glazing change to Hump Days. The Isla Vista Co-op is hosting Donut Wednesdays. Francesca D'Agata has the story.
If you are a local Isla Vista resident, your Wednesdays just got a whole lot sweeter. Every Wednesday, the Good Stuff Baked Treats Company serve fresh donuts out of the Isla Vista Co-op. The local business has collaborated with the Ivy store to give residents a special midweek treat. All of the donuts are vegan. With only a limited amount, it is important to get them while they're hot. This week's flavors were brownie butter, blackberry whipped cream, and cinnamon roll. So if the midweek hump has got you down, come to the Isla Vista Co-op for your pick-me-up. For UCSB TV, I'm Francesca D'Agata.
As week 9 rolls around, the Co-op is reminding us, don't not worry about a thing. Well, that is all we have for you tonight. We will see you next week with all the sports, news, and events here in the heart of Isla Vista. I'm Rebecca Fairweather, and you're watching UCSB TV.